5 new Sonata sets, or Echo sets, and 11 new Forecast Echoes. In this video, I will go through each and every one of them, explaining how they work, which characters they are currently good for, and what type of characters they might be good for in the future. So with the release of new units, you can make your own evaluation to whether use this gear on those characters or not. This is going to be a long and boring video, so let's get started. Firstly, Frosty Resolve. This is a Glacial DPS set. With 2 piece you get 12% resonance skill damage bonus, and with 5 piece effect, after casting resonance skill, you get 22.5% glacial damage bonus for 15 seconds. Additionally, after casting Resonance Liberation, you get 18% resonance skill damage bonus, lasting for 5 seconds and stacking up to 2 times. With full set, you get 12% resonance skill damage bonus and 22.5% glacial damage bonus for pretty much the entire duration of your rotation easily. But getting that last bit of 36% resonance skill damage bonus is not doable for most characters, especially since that buff only lasting for 5 seconds. To use this set, you need a Glacial DPS character that mainly deals damage which is considered resonance skill damage, but also use multiple resonance liberations in quick succession, and with a DPS window that's about 5 to 10 seconds. Currently, only character that can tick all those boxes is Carlotta, and it is safe to say Frosty Resolve is Carlotta's signature Sonata set, and it will probably stay as only her signature Sonata set because of how strict the requirements are. Next up, Eternal Radiance. This is a Spectro DPS set. With 2 piece you get 10% Spectro damage bonus. With 5 piece effect, when you inflict Spectro Frazzle on enemies, you get 20% crit rate for 15 seconds. Additionally, when you attack to an enemy that has 10 stacks of Spectro Frazzle, you get an additional 15% Spectro damage bonus. Now there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, what is Spectro Frazzle? Because that was my first question. So if you don't know, which I didn't, there is actual elemental applications in Wuthering waves, but it's just that you cannot apply elements to enemies, but rather enemies apply elements to you. There are different effects for each element, and Spectro Frazzle is a Spectro damage over time effect for Spectro element. Currently only character that can do this is Spectro Rover, which she previously couldn't, but with 2.0 update they just added this to her kit. By using Spectro Rover's Forte, you can apply 2 stacks of Spectro Frazzle. Getting 10 stacks, however, is not very doable or worth to do in actual combat for her. Spectro Rover can easily have full uptime on the first half of 5-piece set effect just by applying Spectro Frazzle, and 20% crit rate is actually huge by itself. Or you can use Spectro Rover as a support or a Spectro Frazzle applier and give this echo set to Jinshi, for example. Then by attacking enemies who has 10 stacks, Jinshi can get the second part of 5-piece set effect and get 15% Spectro damage bonus. In order to make full use of this set, you need a character that can firstly apply Spectro Frazzle and also apply it fast enough or be able to apply 10 stacks before their main damage output. If I have to give an example, let's go with a Spectro DPS Jinshi. For her to make full use of this set, she should be able to apply 10 stacks of Spectro Frazzle on enemy before her Dragon Nuke, so she gets the full buff on her main damage source. Either way, this is not the best option for no character currently, but in the future when we get someone that can make full use of this set effect, this is a godly Spectro DPS Sonata set, and that character will probably power creep my beloved Jinshi, so I hope that day never comes. Next one is Midnight Whale. It's mainly a Havoc support set but also helps you deal a bit of damage. With 2 piece you get 10% Havoc damage bonus. With 5 piece effect, when you trigger Outro skill you deal an additional 480% Havoc damage as Outro damage, and also buff the incoming character's Havoc damage by 15%. It's a pretty straightforward set. Currently, it's the best in slot for Rococo, who is gonna be the best in slot support for Camellia, or currently if you are using Danjin as a Camellia buffer, as a pure support set, using Midnight Veil over Moonlit Clouds might not be worth it, but if you also want your Havoc support to deal a bit of damage, this is a great set. Next one is Empyrean Anthem. This is a great coordinated attack damage and support set. With 2 piece you get 10% energy regen, and with 5 piece you get a massive 80% damage bonus on your coordinated attacks. And when coordinated attacks crit, on-field character gets a 20% attack bonus for 4 seconds. First of all, as a support set, this is almost as good as Moonlit Clouds. And if you have a coordinated attacker that deals non-negligible damage, this set makes their damage go even further beyond. Currently, I believe this is the new best in slot set for support Juju, since she actually deals good damage. But unfortunately she was stuck with Moonlit Clouds, which doesn't do anything for her own damage at all. But with this set, while she is buffing your main DPS as good as Moonlit Clouds, she will also deal great damage herself. When it comes to Yinlin, it's situational, since in order for Yinlin to do coordinated attacks, you need to use her forte and apply marks to enemies. And in multi-wave situations, you can't really do this, and since the attack buff of this set only lasts for 4 seconds, she cannot buff your DPS if she cannot coordinated attack. But in single wave situations for Yinlin or for GG in general, this is the new best in slot Sonata set for them. Any future support character that deals non-negligible coordinated attack damage and can trigger coordinated attacks faster than once every 4 seconds might want to use this set to further increase their own damage while also buffing the main DPS. Lastly, we got Emblem of Severed Fate. Oh, sorry, I meant Tidebreaking Courage. With 2 piece you get 10% energy regen, and with 5 piece you get 15% attack bonus. Just like that, with no strings attached. But additionally, if you have at least 250% energy regen or more, you receive another 30% damage bonus for all attributes. It's a very generalist DPS set for a character that scales with energy regen. Currently, we don't really have anyone for this set. Other than meme builds, this is not the best in slot or not even a good option for any character currently. Because doing all that will require you to use energy regen as your 3 cost echoes and your weapon, because reaching 250% energy regen is not easy. And at that point, any damage bonus you would get from using this set will be so much worse in comparison to just using damage bonus echoes and weapons. Tidebreaking Courage is simply the emblem of Wuthering waves, energy regen focused DPS set for any element and any role in the team. Now all we need is a character like Raiden, and I believe in the future this is gonna be one of the sets that you can simply slap on anyone and watch them deal great damage. The thing about Sonata effects is that there is no off piece, so you need to use 5 pieces of echoes from that specific set, one of which is going to be your main echo. Now you might want to use energy regen set for example, but the forecast echo for that set buffs fusion damage, so it doesn't make sense to use that set on your Glacio DPS for example. Knowledge is power, and that's what I'm trying to give you here, so now let's take a look at all the new forecast echoes added to the game with this version. We got 11 new forecast echoes with this version. 1 as a weekly boss echo, 3 as regular overworld boss echo, and 7 as a nightmare variant echo for the previously existing bosses. Great thing about all these 11 new echoes I need to mention, and I cannot stress how important this is that in order to get the buffs of these echoes, you don't actually need to use them. You get all the buffs just by equipping that echo. Long gone the days of using Thunder and Mephis, needing to stay on the field and hitting all your hits just to get its buff. You literally don't have to use these echo skills, and it is so big of a deal, it's a literal game changing thing for some characters. Let's start with the weekly boss echo, Hecate, or Hecate, I don't know how to pronounce it. You can get this echo from weekly boss Beyond the Crimson Curtain. From Echo Drop, this echo is only available in Empyrean Anthem set, so the coordinated attack set. But interestingly, when you collect weekly boss reward, you also get these boxes, from which you can also have Hecate in these previously existing 6 Sonata sets, which is cool. But by killing the boss and farming echo regularly, it only drops in Empyrean Anthem set. And when you equip Hecate as your main echo, you get 40% coordinated attack damage bonus, no strings attached, don't even have to use her skill or nothing. If you choose to use her skill, however, she summons these 3 spinning wheels around her, dealing a bit of havoc damage. These spinning wheels can actually parry enemy attacks. It's a summon type echo, you can cast it both mid-air or in the middle of your combos, doesn't matter. You can swap to a different character and they continue to exist. There's no opportunity cost of using this echo ability, but the damage is nothing great. So it's not something you should use off cooldown, but rather if you are in the middle of a combo and enemy is attacking you, instead of having to dodge, you can use Hecate to parry without interfering your combos. If you build Empyrean Anthem GG, she will have to use this, but it's not like it's tailor-made for her. But you use this echo just for the sake of its 40% coordinated attack damage buff anyway. And when it comes to Yinlin, she actually has a better option in this Empyrean Anthem echo set as her main slot, so she won't have to use this either. Let's continue with regular boss echoes now. Firstly, Dragon of Dirge. You can get this echo only in Tidebreaking Courage Sonata set, so the energy regen focused DPS set. Again, just by equipping this echo in your main slot, you get 12% fusion damage bonus and 12% basic attack damage bonus. If you choose to use its skill, you transform into a dragon, flying up in air and then start raining down particles in an area, continuously dealing fusion damage for 5 seconds. You can cast its skill mid-air and you can also swap out of it, so it's great. But it's not really the best option for anyone, simply because Tidebreaking Courage is not a good option for anyone. Next up, it's Lorelei. You can get Lorelei only in Midnight Veil Sonata set. By equipping this echo as your main echo, you get 12% havoc damage bonus and 12% resonance liberation bonus. If you choose to use its skill, you transform into Lorelei and deal a single nuke of havoc damage. You can cast it mid-air and also swap out of it as well, so again, it's great. It is a really good option for Rococo, even though she has another option competitive with Lorelei. Since Rococo jumps around a lot, Lorelei pairs well with her. Last of regular boss echoes, Centry Construct. You can get Centry Construct only in Frosty Resolve Sonata set. Just by equipping this echo as your main echo, you get 12% glacial damage bonus and 12% resonance skill damage bonus. If you choose to use its skill, you actually have two versions of it. Firstly, at base level, you transform into Centry Construct, fly up, then hit the ground, dealing a good amount of glacial damage. You can also cast its skill mid-air and also swap out of it. Every time you cast Resonance Liberation, you get a charge on this echo ability. After 6 stacks or 6 Resonance Liberation casts, it reaches max stacks and resets the cooldown. At full stack, if you use its skill again, it flies up and then plunge into the ground, dealing glacial damage in a bigger AoE and freezing the enemies. Animation on this one is a bit longer, but you can also cast it mid-air and swap out of it. If you use the Echo's ability without reaching max stacks, it doesn't reset the stacks, so you can just farm that stacks in the long run if you want. Currently, the only character who wants this Echo, or rather the only character that can actually make full use of it, is Carlotta. In a single liberation rotation, she casts exactly 6 resonance liberations, so if you want, you can actually use this Echo skill at the start of the rotation, and after her rotation, you can also use its enhanced version again, swap into your sports. Finally, we got to the Nightmare Echoes, or echoes that are upgraded versions of existing echoes. Let's start off with Nightmare Inferno Rider. You can get Nightmare Inferno Rider only in Molten Rift Sonata set, so the old fusion damage DPS set. When you equip it as your main echo, you get 12% fusion damage bonus and 12% resonance skill damage bonus. If you use its skill, it jumps in the air, then plunging down, dealing a single instance of fusion damage. You can cast it mid-air, and you can also swap out of it. And like the regular Inferno Rider, if you hold down the ability button, you turn into the Inferno Rider and ride its motorbike. This is the new best in slot for Changli. Previously, because regular Inferno Rider requires you to use its skill and hit enemies with it, and not being able to cast it mid-air, Changli's best option was actually just lingering tunes with the robot monkey. The ability of casting echoes mid-air or getting its buff without needing to waste time trying to hit enemies and whatnot is a great deal. Other than Changli, also it is the new best in slot for Chixia, I believe. So if you're a Chixia main, you might wanna also farm Nightmare Inferno Rider. Next up is Nightmare Crownless. You can only get this echo in Havoc Eclipse Sonata set, so the previously existing Havoc damage DPS set. By equipping this echo in your main slot, you get 12% Havoc damage bonus and 12% basic attack damage bonus. If you choose to use its skill, you transform into Crownless and do a little slash in front. You can actually parry enemy attacks with it, so it's kinda cool. It comes with 3 charges as well. You can cast it mid-air, but I'm not sure if you can swap out of it because its animation is just so fast. It is the new best in slot for Camellia. Previously she used regular Crownless, but firstly she wasn't making use of half of regular Crownless's buff. And having to use Crownless skill to get the buff and not being able to cast it mid-air made it so in most cases Camellia actually didn't get any buffs from it at all. But Nightmare Crownless, given all the buffs Camellia wants without any requirements, is just great for her. With both new best in slot Echo and Rococo, Camellia mains will be eating really good this patch. It's also a good option for solo dungeon mains. I know there are psychopaths like that out there. Since in solo dungeon runs you can't really afford to use Echo transformations due to opportunity costs, and Nightmare Crownless is just a great option for her. Next up is Nightmare Impermenance Heron. You can only have Nightmare Impermenance Heron in Midnight Veil Sonata set. Equipping this Echo in your main slot gives 12% Havoc damage bonus and 12% heavy attack damage bonus. If you use Echo skill, it does this spinning attack dealing Havoc damage in an AoE around you. Unfortunately, you cannot use it mid-air, but you can swap out of it. Currently, this Echo is the best option for Rococo. Not being able to use it mid-air makes it a bit worse since she jumps around a lot, but again, you don't have to use its skill. Buffs it gives is enough to make Rococo deal great damage. Next one is Nightmare Feilian Beringal. This one has a mouthful of a name, so I'm just gonna call it Monkey from now on. You can have this Echo only in Sierra Gale Sonata set, so the previously existing Aura DPS set. Equipping it as your main echo gives 12% aero damage bonus and 12% heavy attack damage bonus. It's a summon type echo, you can use it mid-air or in the middle of your combos, or you can swap out of it, no problem. You summon a big monkey that slams the ground and leaves a pillar that deals AoE aura damage for 5 seconds. Out of all the Nightmare Echoes being an upgrade, this one is basically straight up a replacement for the regular monkey. It gives exactly the same buffs, but without needing to use Echo skill or hidden enemies or not being able to use it mid-air, which is a problem for Jian. Speaking of which, this is obviously the best new option for Jian, or pretty much any Aura character currently exists in the game that you want to build as a DPS. Next is Nightmare Tempest Mephis. You can have this echo in both Void Thunder set, so the old Electro DPS set, and the new Empyrean Anthem coordinated attack set. Equipping it as your main echo gives 12% electro damage bonus and 12% resonance skill damage bonus. If you use its skill, you transform into Tempest Mephis, charging up your chi and deal an electro damage in a huge AoE around you. You cannot cast it mid-air, but you can swap out of it. Whether you are building a DPS Yinlin with Void Thunder or building Sport Yinlin with the new Empyrean Anthem set, this is her new best in slot option. Of course, if you are building Moonlit Clouds Yinlin, then her only option is the regular Heron. Next is Nightmare Thunder in Mephis. You can have this echo only in Void Thunder set. Equipping it as your main echo gives 12% electro damage bonus and 12% resonance liberation damage bonus. If you use its skill, you transform into Thunder in Mephis, jumping in air, and throwing Zeus's spear to the ground. Unfortunately, you cannot use it mid-air, but you can swap out of it. It is the new best in slot option for Shan Liao. Previously, his case was similar to Chang Li. Because regular Thunder Mephis is straight up the worst echo to use in the game, his best practical option was Lingering Tune set with the Robot Monkey, but now Void Thunder Shan Liao is back in the menu. Last echo to check today is Nightmare Mourning Aix. You can have this echo only in Eternal Radiance Sonata set, so that special set with Spectro-Frazzle elemental application mechanic. When you equip it as your main echo, you get 12% Spectro damage bonus, and it is just that. And there's nothing else. Compared to everything else, it's actually kind of a bad buff, but I guess they had to balance it out with how absurdly OP Eternal Radiance set is. And if you use its skill, it's a summon type ability, summons a Mourning Aix, and it deals a bit of damage. If the enemy is affected by Spectro-Frazzle, damage it deals doubles. You can use it mid-air, and being a summon type echo has its standard advantages, of course. Currently, there is no one who can really use this, because simply currently there is no one who can really use Eternal Radiance set. But yeah, that's basically all the new Sonata set effects and all the new forecast echo effects added to the game with 2.0 Rinascita update. In general, in terms of gear, these are great. I love how every new echo just gives you the buffs 24/7 without any requirement to use them. Though echoes are part of gameplay loop and it's a big deal of fun for some people. Personally, I would prefer if they were all summon type echoes like Joe, New Nightmare Mourning Aix or Monkey or Mawika. Mid-air summon type echoes are just goated in my opinion. And then basically making echo skills kind of absolute with not needing to use them can be a deal breaker for some people. When it comes to new Sonata sets, I am particularly interested in Energy Regen set and Spectro-Frazzle set. These sets themselves are so strong. I just know whatever character they release to make use of them is going to be super OP. In the other hand, Glacio set is unfortunately way too specific and no one else other than Carlotta or a character with a very similar gameplay as Carlotta can make use of it. It's kind of unfortunate because I'm an ice main in every game. I just love ice, and I specifically love Virgil's Lost Daughters. We still don't have a proper flashy katana ice lady in WoW, and the new Glacio set being way too specific kinda makes me worry about what type of character she's gonna end up being. But that's enough yapping, this video is already way longer than it should have been. I hope this video helped you maybe clear out some confusion about the new sets, new echoes, how they work, what characters they are good for. After all, that was the goal of this video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate from asking it down below. I will try to answer it to the best of my abilities. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, take care everyone. Bye.